I hate to say I told you so. Oh, no, I don't. Thank you to the choir. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Dr. Purdon. Whew. Dr. Purdon said to me this week, good luck starting after that one. Because that's the way we care for each other on our staff. So, take down these walls. Take down these walls. They are powerful words. It is a powerful song. There's so many walls, so many borders, so much pain. There is a cruelty. There is a cruelty in these days, and we need songs and stories and gatherings to lift us. And when we can't be lifted, we need prayers and anthems and laments that hold us and hold the possibility in front of us that we might still be able to rise up and keep hoping and working toward a better world. This is so true in our faith tradition. It has always been true. So I'm going to take you back to 1858. 1858, our preeminent at the time, our preeminent Unitarian minister, the Reverend Theodore Parker, spoke to the State House in Massachusetts, words that still endure. He said, "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but a little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." That's our Unitarian forebear, right? A century later, just over, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, whose life we celebrate, I hope always, but specifically tomorrow, would shorten those words to this: the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. In either format, those words and others in their likeness have been spoken in our sanctuaries across the decades. They've been spoken across the decades because we are a justice-seeking people. We don't dwell or predict on the world to come. We want to shape the world we are in to reflect inclusion and love at the center. It is a part of what attracted me to this faith. I wasn't raised in it. And I suspect that's true actually for many of us, though we say things more like, I want a place for my kids, because we don't want any place for our kids. There's plenty of places, but we don't want those, right? So I think it's true for many of us. And the reality is it still touches me very deeply. And even though that's true, I will tell you that I cannot help at the same time but hear the words of Leo Tolstoy echo within me. Tolstoy said, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Shall we let that be for a moment? Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing themselves. This observation is as common as mud. Jesus said a version of the same thing. He said, "Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log in your own?" But that speck, Whew, so aggravating. And the Buddha said, the faults of others are easy to see, for they are sifted like chaff, but one's own faults hard to see. It seems to be this is the human condition. So much easier for us to focus on what's wrong out there, to find fault out there, to find fault with this one and the next one, to hope for this and that and the next thing to be improved. So much easier to focus on all of that than it is to notice and name and work on what's in us, the walls within us that need to come down, that could use a little work. It's psychologist Daniel Gilbert who said, human beings are works in progress. Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. Can I get an amen? Yeah, I thought if that could crack this church open, that might just be the one thing. Amen. See, it's just another way of saying that what we've talked about a couple of weeks ago. We were born worthy. We were born loved. We were born acceptable. We were born in need of others and needed by others. That is part of the human family, not apart from it. And we do not need to earn our way in. That is the heart of our universalist faith. And yet, we don't rest there. Again, as I told you a couple of weeks ago, my colleague, the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, summarizes our theology this way. You are good. And she's talking to all of us, me too. I'm looking in the mirror. You are good. You are loved. You could use a little work. And we are in this together. And so Daniel Gilbert's words remind us to be conscious of our human tendency to conclude we're done. We're fully baked. We're final products, right? And then his words also tell us to note that we are, in fact, works in progress. That was so present to me this weekend for countless reasons. But the one I'll name is when I read this line. All we ask of you is to become more of who you are. All we ask of you is to become more of who you are. All we ask. Who's speaking? Who is being addressed? I will tell you, but before I do, I wonder if it really matters. Is there anybody that wouldn't benefit from hearing those words? All we ask of you is to become more of who you are. All I ask of you, in other words, all we ask of you is that you not imagine that you're done, that you understand that you are unfinished, that you need to keep becoming, keep growing, keep unfolding. Now, as it happens, the words came from a rabbi to a young man. And here is a Christian minister's reflection of that moment, the Reverend Cameron Trimble. She wrote, I stood inside a sanctuary filled with song, liturgy, memory, and the gift of generations. I watched a young teenager step forward to mark his coming of age in the Jewish tradition to receive Torah not as a child protected from responsibility, but as a full participant in the life of his people. It was his bar mitzvah. So many moments, she wrote, so many moments in the service were profound, but one moment in particular undid me. After the Torah, had been passed hand to hand from grandparents to parents to child, from lineage to future. The rabbi turned the young man to face him, and he placed his hands on the boy's shoulders. He looked the boy in the eyes, and he spoke words that felt as old as faith itself, as urgent as this very moment. He looked at the boy and he said, "You are good. You are good. You are loving and loved. You are kind and compassionate. All we ask of you as your community is that you become more of who you are." It was not a charge to perform, Trimble wrote, not a warning about failure, not a demand to prove worth. It was a blessing of recognition. And I tell you, in no small way, this is what we are doing in our church. You are loved and lovable no matter what you have been told or by whom or how often, and you could use a little work. You aren't done yet. We are in this together. Trimble concluded with these words. She said, in the Jewish tradition, coming of age is not about becoming someone else. It is about assuming responsibility for the goodness already present. Torah does not ask this young man to be perfect. It asks him to show up, to take responsibility for his words, for his actions, for his impact on the world. And she said, I left that sanctuary thinking about how many of us are starving for that same blessing. I heard her. Since reading her words, I am struck again and again by how much we are starving for that message. It is why when I look out at you and I say you are loved and lovable no matter what you are told, one of you is tearing up. Always. I see you. I see you. And I am struck again and again how often we offer that blessing to each other in the ways that we meet all of the time, because we all need to hear it. We adults can think that it's just important for our kids in their tween and teen years especially, but we all need it. We need to hear it because inertia too readily claims us. Because it's easier to see the speck in somebody else's eyes. It's easy to act like we're done and we're not the problem. It's why our hymnody doesn't have many songs about becoming and continually improving, because sure, the problem isn't us. This world just needs to keep bending towards justice because we ain't the problem. Right? We cloak ourselves almost unconsciously, we cloak ourselves in the circumstances of our lives as our reasons for not changing. Whether we speak of our age or our marital status or our work or our debt or our physical status or whatever, we speak the kind of sentences that begin, I'm too, fill in the blank, to whatever. Now, I was raised with this mentality, I got to tell you. My parents were well known as people who didn't try to leave the square and try and make anything different out of the square. My father was no slouch at it. He wouldn't dance, even moving foot side to side at a wedding, holding on to my mother, who he really loved, and one day would tell her. And my mama didn't drive ever. She was too nervous. Wouldn't so much as snap a photograph with an Instamatic camera because, quote, she was not mechanical. Wouldn't give directions because she wasn't any good at geography. I was raised to think this. I could have embraced the art form, and sometimes I do. Because honestly, as I age, I sense some similar settling in me. I am often in discernment about whether I am living into my limitations or I'm actually in discernment about not doing something because it's good self-care. And it's a deep question. Now, I know that self-growth, that becoming more of who you are, can seem entirely beside the point these days when the world is on fire and despair is folded into every new headline. And yet, I have to tell you, I have been taught and I am guided still by people of color who teach me that despair is not new. It is not new. The ripple of hopelessness that comes periodically through my day is not the point. That whether I feel up to it or not, whether I think it will make a difference or not, whether I think I am enough or not, my job is to continue to evolve, to become, to grow into who I am and who I was meant to be, so I can share in the responsibility of making it different. Activist Grace Lee Boggs, now of blessed memory, put it like this. Quote, "You don't choose the times you live in, but you do choose who you want to be, and you choose how you want to think." That's worthy of hearing again. You don't choose the times you live in, but you do choose who you want to be, and you do choose how you want to think. Now, this is a painful time. And I didn't choose it. But as soon as I say that, I pause to wonder, well, when would I have chosen to be alive? When people were more likely to die during childbirth? Before penicillin? During a time of pronounced famine or flood? Every era has its challenges. And so I didn't choose to live now, and whether I would have chosen it or not, the choice that remains is the one I get to make every day of what to do with it, who I want to be, and how I want to think. Now, that's not easy or comfortable, but as we remember Dr. King this week, and I hope every week, I take you to his own writing, his famous letter from the Birmingham jail, for a single line that gives us some clues. He wrote, "There is a type of constructive nonviolent tension which is necessary for growth." In other words, friends, growth is not gained in comfort. Growth is not a function of feeling like it. Dr. King is telling us that growth happens when we take direct, tension-filled action against the old ideas that hold us back. When we take down the walls deep inside us, as the choir encouraged us and emboldened us. I tell you so often, you are good. My goodness, you're good. You are loving and loved. You are kind and compassionate. You are. And you're not done yet. You're not. I echo the rabbi's words, all we ask of you as your community is that you become more of who you are. It's not about becoming someone else. It is about assuming responsibility for the goodness already present in you. Nobody is asking you to be perfect. Well, nobody but you, maybe. Nobody but you. But we are all asked to grow, to show up, to take responsibility for our words, our actions, and our impact on our world. There are so many things that are wrong. So many things. And there is work to do for certain in the public square. And yet there is work to do in our own hearts, in our own selves. You know, whenever I attempt to fight the idea that I am not something or I'm too much of something else, I can feel this ferocious kind of fight starting in me. Part of me is striving towards courage and growing, and another part of me is sinking in despair. That's real. My mind doesn't really want to risk much. Failure least of all in the transformation process. So I may stay stuck in the familiar, in the comfort of pointing out the speck, of cynicism, just naming what's wrong everywhere out there, of staying numb or hidden in fear. But Dr. King was always inviting tension into our lives so we can conquer unhelpful ideas and embody our best self, to become more of who we are, to keep growing, to keep going in service of our collective path and our shared freedom and liberation. That is my religion. That is this religion. And what a gift, what a challenge it is to all of us. We are good, we are kind and compassionate, and we're not finished. And all we ask of each other as community is that each of us become more of who we are. May it be so. All my relations. Shanti. Shalom. Amen.